Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to tonight's live stream. Retired at 52 and moved to Mexico. Uh, Everybody, if you want to give a shout out, where you're from, say hello. Uh, Before we start, I want to try to get a couple of people in here, a couple more people in here. Um, like I always do at the very beginning, I do a little bit of housekeeping just to let you know what's going on with the channel. Uh, as you know, I just released a video with my brother-in-law. Um, Actually, a lot of people ask me where I get a lot of my legal advice, and then I actually introduced my brother-in-law. And also, my brother-in-law happens to have a very big, large network of attorneys that he went to school with that include government officials, high-level attorneys. So a lot of times when I ask for legal advice, I go through him, and I also go through a lot of other sources, not just my brother-in-law, but I just released that video just recently. We're going to try a new series. Uh, if you have any legal questions, reach out and make a comment on the video, and we'll try to get them answered. Um, One of the things that we got coming down the pipe, I've got an interview with another YouTuber that I'm working on. I'm also going to give a safety update on one of the videos that I did before. And I also am working on an update on the Tangerine Travels fiasco. Um, and I'll give you the whole my results of my research. But bottom line is what they're saying is not true. And but I will detail it in a video pretty soon. And we've got some people in here. We've got Ellen Woodward from Charleston, South Carolina. And we got Lori Boop from LA, Susan from San Miguel Allende, my old stomping grounds, actually. And Edith Jones from Texas. Actually, that's also my old stomping grounds. And down in Texas, I was actually down there in Texas too. Tonight, we're going to discuss how I retired at 52 and moved to Mexico. Now, here's the thing. I know that you might be logging on because this is not financial advice. This is not how to retire at 52. This is not how to save your money. And like some videos that tell you this is how you do it and how you get $1 million and become independent. What I'm going to address tonight is actually my secret to retiring at 52 is I worked for the government for 30 years. And I was eligible to retire at 52 because I was in federal law enforcement. We have mandatory retirement at 58. I could have gone till 57. I'm sorry. I could have gone till my birthday last year, but I decided to go early. But even for us, we can go early at 58. So my secret to retiring and getting a pension is that I worked for the government. There's no secret there as far as how I did it. Now, what I'm here to do is not explain how I did it, but what I'm going to explain is what I went through when I retired, why I decided to retire early at 52, and some of the things that you might start thinking about, even if retirement is down the road for you. Maybe you're waiting till you're 62. Maybe you're waiting till you're 65 to get your Social Security. Maybe you're waiting till you're 67. But there's things you can do now to prepare and be more prepared for retiring and coming to Mexico. And I'm specifically going to talk about moving to Mexico. One of the things that happened with me is I didn't have a plan. I just retired and decided, let's retire, and I just want to do nothing. But the problem is that even though I wanted to retire and I wanted to get out of what I was doing, and doing nothing sounded really great, all of a sudden doing nothing turned into, what do I do now? And I did have some challenges. Now, here's the thing. I had a lot of challenges because I was in a very high-speed, low-drag job. I can tell you right now, I lived on adrenaline for 30 years of my career. So to go from 100 miles an hour all the time, or not all the time, but to get rid of that 100-mile an hour pace and all of a sudden go to 5 miles an hour was very difficult for me. Um, Actually, most of my uh, coworkers that I went to the academy with and everything else, they retired early sometimes, and they end up they're still working. Actually, they're still working not because that maybe there's two reasons why they're still working. Is one reason is, and I'm going to go into this in my live stream, is one of the reasons why they're still working is because they want to maintain the same lifestyle they had previous to retiring. Even though I have a nice pension, even though I have benefits, even though I have all of those things that from my benefit package, I'm making half the amount of money that I was making when I was working. So I had to adjust my lifestyle. Okay. A lot of individuals that I retired with, or that are my age that retired early, the first thing they notice is I can't have three cars anymore. I can't have a big, humongous house anymore, or a $4,000 or $5,000 mortgage anymore. I can't do certain things unless I keep working. And so that's one of the things that I had to adjust to. Um, I had to make a decision at 52 whether I was going to keep working or if I was going to adjust my lifestyle. Now, here's the great thing about moving to Mexico. I didn't really have to adjust my lifestyle. And yes, I'm going to address the part that you can actually live here. Um, you can actually live here in Mexico for half the amount of money or have the same lifestyle for half the amount of money that I had in the United States. So I didn't have to really adjust my lifestyle. I still have a nice car. I still own a house. Actually, I don't have a mortgage. For the first time in my life, I don't have a mortgage. And in my house in Mexico. So things changed and I had to adjust that. For example, I purchased a house. Now I'm actually building another house with my other previous house in Texas. But what I'm seeing is that, like, for example, I don't have a house payment. I don't have a mortgage payment. I don't have a rent payment. So those are things that you need to start looking at whenever you're coming to Mexico, because now my dollar goes even further because I don't have to worry about 2,000 or 1,500 or 1,000 or $800 for that matter. So that's one thing that you need to look at. But I think the most important part is being able to adjust to retirement. A lot of people don't realize it. I know that, we all have these busy jobs, and, I hate my boss, or, they've got me stressed out, and I'm always stressed out, and I want out. I want out. And you get to that point. But the thing about it that we need to realize is that, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I'm not saying that you should just stay working. I'm not saying that. But what you need to do is start making plans of, what am I going to do when I retire? Many people retire without a plan. And what I mean by without a plan is they go from one day to the next, I'm not working. And I've seen it. I've seen it in my career. I've seen individuals that go all the way till mandatory, and they're coming back to the office and visiting the office like if they were still working, because they don't know what to do. They never had a plan of, what am I going to do? Or what are my plans? Where am I going to go? And so I faced a lot of those challenges, and it wasn't as easy. It's not all honky-dory because I no longer have anything to do. Now, I can say there's a lot of benefits. For the first year, I didn't even know what day it was. I literally lost track of days. I would have to ask people, what day is it today? Because I didn't have a schedule. I didn't have to be anywhere. It's a beautiful feeling when you don't know what day it is. in the United States, because I didn't move to Mexico right away, but in the United States, it was a beautiful feeling that I could go to the mall on a Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning when nobody was there, and I had the whole mall to myself, and I could go shopping at whatever store and didn't have to wait in line. Those are the beautiful things, but that kind of wears off after a little while, and you gotta have a plan. So, one of the things, and actually here in Mexico, one of my hobbies is this YouTube channel. This keeps me busy. I actually have other things that I do. I don't dedicate myself to YouTube full time. And so uh, I have different hobbies and everything that I've kept myself busy. And that's what one thing that you need to realize when you are retired, you need to keep yourself busy, keep active. Another thing that I always do, but I've always had a habit of it, is exercise. So we always keep active and exercising all the time. The beautiful thing about being retired is you can exercise even more than you had the time for before. You're not as tired at the end of the day. But those are the benefits of retirement. Now, one of the things I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually, wow, from Quito. Oh, Profe, you're all the way from Quito, coming in from Quito. Welcome. And Houston, Texas. Lucia Hawkins from Texas. Now, here's the thing that I want to start touching on is a lot of you guys are probably tuned in because you want to move to Mexico, and those are your retirement plans. And one of the what I'm going to do today is kind of give you some advice. Not advice. I don't like to give advice or tell you people what to do, but maybe put some ideas in your head on maybe how you can start to plan. Maybe your retirement plans aren't right away, and maybe your retirement plans are down the road. One of the issues, and I know I've touched on this when I talked about what happened with Tangerine Travels. And one of the things that I brought up is that all these YouTubers are doing these videos where you can live in Mexico for $1,500 a month, live in beautiful Playa del Carmen for $2,500 budget, live in beautiful Cancun for $500 a month. And one of the things that we all need to understand, and I've already explained this, is that there's a difference between living here. You can live here on $1,500 a month. I'm not and there's nothing wrong with watching those videos and watch those videos, get motivated because you want to be here. But you also need to understand that you're going to need a plan to get here. Okay. So what you do is you start planning. The sooner you start planning, and I'm going to give you some ideas on how to plan, and the sooner you start planning, the more you can make that a reality. You can actually be one of those people that gets interviewed that says, I'm living in beautiful Playa del Carmen for $1,500 a month. The problem that I see a lot of times, and what's also the problem I see with a lot of these YouTube videos and these YouTubers, is they promote this idea of coming here for $1,500 a month, but don't tell you what it takes to get here. They don't tell you that there's certain requirements you need to meet for residency. They don't tell you, as a matter of fact, some of them outright lie and tell you, just show up. Don't worry, you'll get residency. They won't kick you out. But that's not true. And the truth is the truth. I can't stress that enough. And we fall into this, and I'm just saying this, a lot of times it's human nature. The press does this to us all the time. If you notice in the United States, and I'm not going to go into politics because I don't, even in my Facebook group, I say keep politics out of this. But, you know, if you're if you're from a certain party, you watch CNN. If you're from another party, you watch Fox News. And that's your reality. Fox News is your reality if you're from that party, and CNN's your reality if you're from another party. We've lost this impartialness in the press. And what happens is it's human nature, because if we have certain beliefs, we want to hear what we want to hear, not necessarily the truth, or not necessarily. It's very easy to hear what you want to hear. It's very hard to hear it's very hard to hear criticism, or it's very hard to hear. We're humans. There's nothing wrong with wanting to hear what we want to hear. But what happens with moving to Mexico, if we're too tied up in hearing what we want to hear, and we're not doing our research on what we need to do, then that leads to a lot of disappointment. And it leads to a big disappointment, because I'll give you an example. If I'm going to get my Social Security check, and actually it's not even $1,500. I think there was a good raise this year on Social Security, so I think the average Social Security check is $1,800. Let's just say So I've got $1,800 of disposable income. I've watched all these videos. I'm going to go live in Playa del Carmen because I saw this couple that's living there for $1,500 a month, and you go to the consulate, and the consulate says, "Sorry, you don't qualify. You need at least 25 or 2,600, and in some consulates $3,000 a month or $3,200 a month." And then you're like, "Oh, okay. Well, but they said I could live at $1,500 a month." And you go totally unprepared, and then you get denied. Then you have these people saying, "Well, there's alternative methods. Don't worry. There's a regularization program." Well, then you come to Mexico, you let your visa expire, and you find out that you don't qualify for the regularization program because you don't have an entry prior to a certain time. So then you get disappointed again. And what I'm here to tell you, though, is that there is a solution. There is strategies that you can take right now that you don't have to worry about that. And I'm not saying this in a sense of you don't have to meet requirements, but what I'm going to give you is some ideas on how you can plan so that you don't show up to the consulate with a $1,500. And actually, that's one of the follow-up videos that I'm going to do. These Tangerine Travels and Jose Arteaga Travels basically said that you can show up with your pension letter on $1,500 a month and you qualify. And the problem is if you believe that and you show up to the consulate, they're going to say, "I'm sorry, you don't need $1,500 a month. You need like $4,000 a month because it's permanent residency that you're applying for." So what you need to do is you need to do your research and make sure that you can qualify for residency. All right. Now, if you do have meet the qualifications, maybe for the the regularization program that you did do an entry before a certain date, maybe that's one of your options. But this is the thing: you need to start planning now, even if it's 5 years out. That's where I'm trying to do this video, to try to let everybody know this is how, these are ideas. It's not, the thing about it is when people see my videos, a lot of times they think I'm shutting you down because I'm telling you that you need $3,000 a month in monthly income, or you need $60,000 in the bank. And it's true, you do. But I'm not telling you that that dream is going to be shattered because you need that. What I'm telling you is with a little bit of planning and a little bit of strategy, you can still do it. You can still meet that $3,200 a month. And one of the solutions, and the first solution that I'm going to present to you, is that one of the things about Mexican residency, which is very unique about most countries, because I've worked in the immigration field with a lot of countries. I've worked in the customs field with a lot of countries. But one of the things, for example, I'm going to give you the United States. I don't know about Canada, but when you get permanent residency in the United States, if you leave the United States for more than 180 days, you're supposed to live there. When you get permanent residency in the United States, you're supposed to be living in the United States. If customs, CBP, or anybody ever finds out that you're actually living in another country, or you live outside the United States for more than 180 days, you lose your permanent residency in the United States. Now, here's the unique thing about Mexico. Once you get residency in Mexico, there is no requirement, no minimum requirement that you have to live here. You can technically come here to Mexico, get your residency, go back home with your plans to retire in 5 years, and actually what you might have to come back to renew, and you might have to come back because usually you get your temporary residency for 1 year, you take another vacation, you come back, you renew it for another 3 years, you keep it for 4, and even if your goal is in 5 years, then in your 5th year, you come over here, you convert your 4 years to permanent, and you don't ever have to worry about residency again. Okay, so here's the idea. Let's say you have a job right now. You can actually, you might have to take some time off. You're just going to be strategic, but your job, if $3,000 a month is $36,000 a year. Okay, if you make $36,000 a year and you can show that, then you can go to a consulate right now and apply showing your proof of income. I mean, that's bottom line. I make this much money. And if they ask you, what are you going to do? You say, I'm going to work remotely or whatever it might be. My advice is not to go and tell them that I'm going to retire in 5 years and I'm getting my residency now. No. But what I'm trying to tell you is there's other ways to meet the income requirement. You don't have to wait till you go on Social Security and you go from making $3,200 a month to $1,800 a month, and then all of a sudden you don't qualify. And that's the danger of these YouTube videos and these YouTubers trying to tell you that, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry, there's alternative methods. That's the danger of listening to this type of information. And that's why I'm very passionate about it. Because there is ways of not getting around it. There's ways of doing it the right way. So one of the ways is to qualify. And actually, one of the people that's in this room tonight, she's working, and right now she's working towards her permanent move to Mexico, and she already has residency. Actually, she's going back to go renew her residency, and she made a plan. She qualified on today's income, on the income she's making right now, not on the income that she's going to make when she retires. And that's one way of doing it. So the thing about it is it's about making a plan. And here's the thing. Right now it's $3,200 a month. If the minimum wage goes up next year and SRE keeps going at the way they're going, it's going to be $4,000 a month next year, the following year. And so what you need to do is start making those plans now. The other thing that a lot of people don't see, and I'm guilty of it, because right now I just told you it's $3,200 a month or $2,700 a month, depending on which consulate you go to, for temporary residency. Now, I'm not talking about permanent, temporary. Permanent is almost twice. And here's the thing. We get stuck on how much a month you have to make. How much a month, how much a month, how much a month, how much a month, how much a month. Okay? But the truth is you can also qualify with savings. Okay? So, the savings is $50,000. That's a lot of money. But if you start now, and even if it goes up and it keeps going up, if you start getting that $50,000 in the bank, you can show that I have $50,000 in the bank. And even though I make $1,800 a month, I have the $55,000. I think it's 55 or 60. I don't remember how much it is. I've got to figure it on the formula, but it's 50 something $1,000. I have that in the bank. So I don't need to worry. I make $1,800 a month, but I've got enough money in the bank to qualify for residency. So there's a lot of ways of going about it. You don't have to go and, someone brought up, and I didn't look at this video, and I said I can't comment on it. But after I made my video and someone asked me, what is my follow-up on Tangerine Travels? And then someone mentioned that they did another video, and I started to watch it, and it was about Saver Sally, and I don't know, selling stuff on eBay and showing this monthly income. And to be honest with you, to be honest with you, I didn't even finish watching the video, so I couldn't tell you if it's legal, it's not legal. But the problem is that why are you going through all of this stuff to sell stuff on eBay and do this and do that to show deposits when you can actually do other things such as, hey, I'm working right now. I make enough to meet the financial solvency requirements. I'm going to go apply right now. And then I might retire in 5 years, but I'll have my residency and I won't have to worry. I'll actually qualify right now. Or I got $50,000, 55 or 56, whatever it is. I've got that in the bank. I'm going to go apply right now. Okay, so you don't need to do any schemes to try to trick the consulate. I know that there was some comments on the video saying that no, the consulate wants to see pay stubs, and this is and I know some people have accused it of being a scam. I couldn't tell you if it's a scam or not because really the consulate does look at deposits, and some are very strict. Some will tell you they want to see where the income is coming from. Others just look at, okay, what's your monthly deposits? And so that's true. So I'm not putting down that, but what I'm trying to say is, why do you need to go through all that trouble when you already qualify right now? You may already qualify right now. Because if you look at the minimum requirements, that's, if you have a job that makes you at least $40,000 a year, you meet the minimum financial requirements to get residency. Has anybody ever thought of that? Try to think of those things. And here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to retire at 62. I'm 58 right now. What I would do myself, is I would say, okay, what am I going to need for residency? I'm making good salary right now at 58. I wouldn't be, because I would have been mandatory retirement. I would have been retired anyway at 57. But, okay, now I know I want to retire at 62. That's 58, say 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. That's 4 years from now. Okay, I've got a good paying job. I'm going to go in, take some time off, get my residency right now. And then, I'll draw Social Security at 62. Actually, when I start drawing Social Security, it's going to be about $2,000. So I'll draw Social Security. I'll have my $2,000. Well, actually, it'll probably be more by then. I'll have my $2,000 Social Security check. Don't have to worry about residency, and I'm there. And so that's one way, that's one idea that I'm giving you guys, that it's not about getting around the requirements. It's not about trying to cheat the system. You're doing it the right way. But with a little bit of planning, you don't have to worry about cheating the system, getting around the system, seeing how I'm going to get this done at the last minute. Like I said, I've done one consult. I did one consult where the individual didn't know about the regularization program and he left, and now he's coming back. And what people don't realize about the regularization program is it's fading out. Not all the offices have it. It's being reevaluated every 6 months. Literally in June, it could all go away. All of it. Half of it could go away. Actually, Guadalajara has actually renewed it and then got rid of it, then renewed it again. So there is no guarantees in any of this. And so the thing you need to understand, and Chasing the American Dream, welcome, brother. Actually, stay tuned, because when I said I was working on an interview, it's actually with Chasing the American Dream. These guys are adventurers, and they love to go out off the beaten path. And I just finished taping an interview with them, and they're going to be coming out pretty soon. So watch out for that video. And thanks guys, Joe and Brittany. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. So those are the things that I think that this is the advice I want to give you. I think a lot of people somebody said, I just want to know how you retired at 52. Well, the secret is I retired at 52 because I worked for the government for 30 years. And I was eligible for early retirement at 50. And now one thing that I will tell you is people will say, well, I could have gone to, and I will tell you, I could have gone to 57. But the reason why I didn't go to 57 is that my father died, not died, but my father got a heart attack. My father kept working. He was a college professor, administrator. He actually ended up retiring the vice president of a university. And he kept working, kept working, kept working. And he got a heart attack at 62. My grandfather died at 47 of heart failure on my dad's side. My grandfather on my mom's side died at 52 of a brain aneurysm. So I have heart problem, and I actually have a heart issue. I was born with it, but hopefully it won't ever catch up to me, and I'll live a long life, but I have to monitor it. So what I had to do is, what happened with my father is when he got his heart attack, he said, shoot, all those plans that my wife and I made, and we want to retire, and we want to go to New Mexico, and we want to buy a house. He said, you know what, time for me to retire, because I don't have much time. I don't know how much time I got left. And this is a wake up call that I got a heart attack. And so what did he do? He bought his dream house in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He moved there with my mom. They both went to Santa Fe, but they made themselves, well, we're going to go in the summer. And that lasted 3 summers, and my mom got sick. My mom stayed sick for 8 years, and my dad took care of my mom religiously. And they didn't get to live their dream of going every summer to Santa Fe, New Mexico. So what I looked at was, do I want to become like my dad, even retiring at 58? And here's the thing about law enforcement. If you look at the mortality rate of most law enforcement officers, a lot of them, there's even statistics to say a good percentage of them die within 10 years, 5 to 10 years after retirement, because of all the stress that they're put under. So I'm sitting there thinking, do I want to retire at 58 and get a heart attack by 60? And even if I do get a heart attack by 60, I'm 52 right now. So, and my dad passed away also. Now, he did live to a ripe old age of 80. My mom passed away probably 6 years prior to that. My parents lived a long life. They also lived a very good life. But what I was thinking is, I was already projecting I'm going to get a heart attack at 60. So, okay, I'm 52 now. I'm going to have to, I want to go do things differently. I love my job. I'm going to tell you right now. We had a saying in the Marshal Service. There's an older Ernest Hemingway quote. I started with the Marshal Service, but we used to go by this old Ernest Hemingway quote, and it goes, there's no hunting like the hunting of man. And those who have hunted men before and enjoyed it have never cared for anything thereafter. And it's true. I mean, I was a hunter for my whole 30 years of my career. I had fun. I had a blast. I can always say, my dad always told me, find something you have a passion for and you won't work a day in your life. And I never worked a day in my life. I don't consider my job as working at all. But also, I spent 30 years doing that. So I needed to do something else. I wanted to explore the world. I got to explore the world. I've been with my job. I've been all over Latin America. I was a diplomat in Brazil. I went to the Middle East on several projects. So I've traveled the world with my job. The government paid for it too. But you got to understand, I was working. I wasn't, and yes, I got to go to all of those great places and all of those tourist attractions, but it was sort of like on my off time when I wasn't working. So there's a difference between that and going on vacation and actually enjoying those beautiful wonders. I mean, I never went to Machu Picchu till later on in my life. I mean, yeah, I'd been to Peru, but I'd never been to Machu Picchu. So those are the things that I decided, that's why I wanted to retire at 52. And that's why I didn't stay till 57. That's why I don't work. I've gotten many, many, many offers to do contract work, and I still won't take any of them. I just tell them, no, I'm not going to do it. And the reason why is because I want to experience life to its fullest. And, you know, we sometimes I did this video, how I retired at 52. I'll put a link to it. But one of the things that I bring up, there's a Netflix series that talks about money and how different things work. And one of the things is talking about retirement. And there it talks about this this stool with 3 legs and all sorts of stuff. I go into it on my video. But the thing that you have to understand is that, we sometimes end up working till we die, until we literally die. And sometimes that's not good. And one of the 2 things that I want to get through is, yes, you can retire. You don't have to work till you die. But if you have to have a plan, a good plan, and you can come here to Mexico, you can live here on it. Now, here's the other thing too. We talk about Mexico. That's another big thing that the YouTubers do, living in the luxury life in Playa del Carmen on $1,500 a month. Well, I can tell you right now, in Playa del Carmen, $1,500 does not go very far. Now, can you live in Playa del Carmen for $1,500 a month? Yes, but you have to live in a local area. You have to, your lifestyle is not going to be sipping margaritas on the beach every day at a resort. And that's the reality. But you have to look at that reality and say, okay, I'm going to live in Playa del Carmen because I love the beach, and I'm going to adjust my lifestyle to be able to afford to live there. And yes, you can find places to rent that are very affordable. You're just not going to be on the beach. You might have to walk a little bit or a couple of miles to get to the beach, but you can live that life. And I'm here to tell you that Mexico's a beautiful country. But at the same time, I'm also here to tell you that another thing is that we retire a lot of times on Social Security. And the problem with this Social Security thing is that you end up in a position in the United States where $1,800 a month, I really don't know of many places you can even survive on $1,800 a month. And what's happening right now with a lot of YouTubers that are actually pushing all of this stuff, you got to understand they make money off of you viewing their stuff. They make money off of you giving them consult. Actually, out of this pair that I'm doing this scam videos on, one of them actually charges people to do videos. In other words, you ask a question and he'll do a video for you. You pay him $50 or $60 and he does a video. And then he capitalizes on the video. But the thing you need to understand is they're doing it they're entrepreneurs. They're doing it to make money. So they're trying to tell you what you want to hear. And you need to take it with a grain of salt, make that plan, and maybe think of other ways to make the plan to get there. And also realize the reality of what $1,500 is going to get you here in Mexico. Okay. I just noticed a comment in my Facebook group. This is a perfect example of this. Somebody is planning to retire and they wanted to know if San Miguel or Monterrey was cheaper. Which one's cheaper? We get stuck on this. I want to live on $1,500 a month. And it's sort of like we put these blinders on our side and all we think about is how cheap it is to live with Mexico, because we've watched all these videos. We see how inexpensive it is and how great it is. But we forget about cultural adjustments we're going to have to make. We forget about, like I said, residency. How are we going to get residency? We forget about all of those things that come along with the living on $1,500 a month. This individual wanted to know which one's cheaper. And they started this discussion and he said, well, where's electricity cheaper? Is it cheaper in San Miguel or in Monterrey? Now, here's the thing about cheaper, okay? I started telling him, look, comparatively, if you look at numbers, Monterrey is more expensive than San Miguel. It's a big city, okay? But for me personally, it's cheaper. And then the guy's kind of like, no, what I want to know is electricity. How much you spend on electricity? How much you spend on this? How much? Whoa, wait. That's not the whole formula, because I lived in San Miguel de Allende and I'm now moved to Monterrey, Mexico. But the reason why I moved to Monterrey is I was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago. I was treated here in Monterrey with cancer 5 years ago. I have to take a PET scan every 6 months. That means when I was living in San Miguel de Allende, I had to take a 6-hour trip and pay gas. And if it wasn't gas, it was a plane ticket to get from San Miguel de Allende to Monterrey, Mexico to take my PET scan. So that's an expense, although I stayed with family when I'm here. And then not only that, but okay, so I had to travel there. Not only that, but I also have a house in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Traveling from central Mexico all the way to Santa Fe, New Mexico is very, very, very expensive in gas. And it takes 3 days to get there. Now that I'm in Monterrey, it only takes 2 days to get there. And I spend less on gas. And I'm not spending gas coming here to see my doctors. So for me personally, it's cheaper to live in Monterrey. So that's the thing that we don't look into. We don't look at those extra expenses. A lot of people don't realize if you move all the way down to, for example, central Mexico, Mexico City. Now, Mexico City is affordable in the sense that you can get flights pretty easily. But how often, you need to start thinking about how often do I need to travel back to the United States? Do I have grandkids? Do I have family? Do I have mothers or father that I need to take care of, that I need to be able to get to? So you may end up in San Miguel de Allende living on your $1,500 a month budget, whereas maybe it's a little bit more here in Monterrey. You could probably still live here in Monterrey on $1,500 a month, depending if you own your house or not. And then, but yet, oh, wait a second. I have to spend another $1,000 to go back to the States. Whereas if I'm in Monterrey, I only have to spend $300. So you got to look at the big picture. It's about a big picture, not about where's cheaper, where's the cheapest, where's the best for 15, or where's that. So that's where you need to, that's where you really need to look into doing your planning. And that's what I think I wanted to get across tonight when we talk about retired at 52. It doesn't matter when you retire. Whether you retire at 52, you retire at 60, you retire at 62, you're waiting for Social Security. Take a lot of these things into consideration. And it's all about personal. Because for me, it's cheaper to live in Monterrey. But that's because, number one, I have family here too. So I was traveling from San Miguel de Allende almost every 3 months to visit my family. If I have a family emergency, I have to come here. Now I'm here. I'm not spending that money to come here. So for me personally, I'm talking about my personal situation, it's cheaper to live in Monterrey. So if you ask me, is it cheaper in Monterrey or in San Miguel? I would tell you it's cheaper in Monterrey. But that's because of my personal situation. And that's what you need to figure out in your personal situation. I even brought up in that conversation, I said, oh, I'll give you another example. I run a YouTube channel. I have a lot of equipment. This microphone, it can get pretty expensive if you buy it here in Mexico. To have it shipped by Amazon, it's almost double the price. You have to pay the import duties and everything else. Plus, it takes a long time to get here. A week. Now I can run. I'm 2.5 hours from the border. I can run to McAllen, Texas, go to Best Buy, and buy a laptop. If I need a laptop, and be back. And that laptop's going to cost me half the price. It's going to take me half the time. It's a laptop I can go up there and get the same day and come back. And my laptop breaks down now. So I have that convenience. It's cheaper for me. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's cheaper for me. Now, if I was in San Miguel, when I was in San Miguel and I had to order equipment, I was paying double the price for most of my equipment because I had to order it. I had to, and I was lucky that it was on Amazon. We had a Best Buy down there before Best Buy closed in Mexico. And then when I would do is when I would come to Monterrey, we would make trips to the United States. but that was expensive. That was getting expensive. So those are the things that you need to think about. Are you going to are you going to run a YouTube channel? Are you going to need expensive equipment that's going to cost you double if you live down in central Mexico and you can't get that equipment to you, or you can't come to the United States to pick it up or buy it at at half the price? So those are things that you need to think about. And I left the guy frustrated because all he wanted to know is, no, but you didn't answer my question. Where's electricity cheaper? I said, well, electricity is not cheap. It's regulated, but electricity costs the same no matter where you go. It's run by the federal government. But then electricity is more expensive here in Monterrey because it's a variable rate. And in the United States, I was used to saying, okay, how much is my electricity? 13 cents a kilowatt hour. That's how much it is. And I could figure out my budget for the month. I could figure out, okay, but the problem here in Mexico is it's so much up to 500. It's so much after you reach 500, and it exponentially increases. So, for example, in San Miguel de Allende, I don't run an air conditioner, but in Mexico, in Monterrey, I do. So if you're going to ask me what's the price of electricity, I'm going to tell you Monterrey is more expensive in electricity, but the rates are the same. But it's because I have to consume more electricity here in Monterrey than I have to consume in San Miguel. So you need to understand there's no definite answers. That's one of the things, that's my most famous comment. When someone asks me a question, I always say, it depends. There's no consistent answers for probably anything. There's no consistent answers for the way immigration works. There's no consistent answers for which consulate, which consulate's going to accept you and which one's not. There's no definite to anything when it comes to Mexico. So those are the things that you can do, but you can still do it. You can still come here. You can still live on your Social Security. You can still come to Mexico. You can still make it your dream. But 2 words of advice: don't do it just for the sole purpose of financial, your dollar going further, the financial benefits is just a bonus. It's all about the culture. It's about coming and falling in love with the place. It's a place that you're going to call home and literally make it your home. That's what, you can't bring your home with you. You're going to have to make this place your home. And that's the bottom line with all of this stuff. But you can still make it come true. There is nothing, where there's a will, I've always been taught there's no such thing as failure. Where there's a will, there's a way. Humans are very, very, very resilient, and they'll find a way. Trust me. Actually, humans are so resilient, if it comes down to it, they'll find an illegal way. But you don't need to find an illegal way if you have a plan. And that's what it comes down to. And that's what I'm here to tell everybody today. Now, I went a little bit too far in the sense of I usually go 30 minutes, but I'm here at an hour. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to go over the comments here and see if anybody has any questions about Mexico in general. Let me bring up some here. Let me see here, Cindy. You know what? Chasing the American Dream. He actually said that. Problem is that everybody wants things right, and when people can't get things right, now they try to cheat the system. And that's one of the things that I see I see very, very, very prominent here is, there's a lot of people that try to sell you on Mexico's really lax and you can cheat the system. And I can tell you probably many years ago it was that way. But now, many years ago, it was that way, but it's not. It's getting harder and harder to cheat the system, and especially with automation. Now with computers and automation, we have artificial intelligence coming down the pipe. That's going to be a game changer for a lot of governments, to be honest with you. Not just Mexico is probably going to be included in all of that stuff. So we need to, uh, and then here, Metabamba. Love your shows. What sites are safest for LGBTQ people to live? I'm looking for climates on the color side. No beaches, thank you. Actually, Metabamba, one of the places that I was going to say that's very, very LGBTQ friendly is actually a beach. It's called Zipolite. It's in the state of Oaxaca. Actually, it's a very liberal beach. It's LGBTQ friendly, and also is very liberal. Actually, even if you're not from that community, it's a very beautiful. I actually have visited there with my wife. Very respectful community. It's not just for LGBTQs, it's for everybody, but a very hippie type, very liberal type community there. Also, it's one of the only nude beaches, I believe, here in Mexico. So people go run around without their clothes on. Some people do, but if you run around with your clothes on, it's okay too. So Zipolite is one of them. Mexico City does have some. Actually, Mexico City is very LGBTQ friendly. If I'm not mistaken, Mexico City is one of the places in Mexico where it's actually legal to get married. My wife and I actually have some really good friends that are married, that are a couple, same-sex couple, and they actually went all the way down to Mexico City to get married. And some of our friends that are married, they actually went down to Mexico City because it's actually legal there to get married. And so Mexico, those are the only two places that I know that are very, very friendly to the LGBTQ community. I'm almost sure there's more places, but in general, Mexico is a conservative place, but they're changing a lot, and they're very tolerant of a lot of things. To be honest with you, from coming from a foreign country and all of that stuff. So, but those are the two places that I would suggest. And Chasing the American Dream, they're in Morelia right now. Let me see here. Someone was asking about medical insurance. Actually, I think I saw one. Okay, Lori Boop 2 was asking about medical insurance. Approximately how much does medical insurance cost? It's like an HMO or a PPO? I actually have, I started a series on medical insurance. I have 3 episodes. One of them is just introducing the insurance agent. But I'll just go over it real quick. Mexico has 2 types of healthcare: private healthcare and public healthcare. Okay, so private healthcare is a private hospital where you have to come up with cash or pay for your medical care. Now, there's several types of insurance. There's what they call IMSS, which is the Social Security system. In other words, when you're a worker here in Mexico, you put money, and then there's another one called ISSSTE. ISSSTE is for government workers, and that doesn't really apply to anybody moving to Mexico. That's a totally different thing. But there's 2 that are available to types of insurance that are available to individuals that either migrate to Mexico or expats, whatever you want to call yourself. The first is IMSS, and the second one is private healthcare insurance. And that's where you can go to a private hospital. You can go to a private hospital and either pay cash or you have an insurance policy. Now, I'm going to go over IMSS first. Now, IMSS is for people that have been paying into it, just like you pay into Social Security all your life. Then you get Medicare later on in life. Now, in IMSS, there's a way of voluntarily opting into the program. Now, that is where you would qualify as a resident. You have to have residency, either permanent or temporary, and you apply for the program. Now, IMSS basically costs, it's anywhere from, it depends, it goes from age. It starts at several $100s a month, and it goes all the way up to, I forgot what the maximum age or the maximum amount is, but it's $700 or $800 or $900 a year, not a month, a year. So IMSS, but that's a public healthcare system. You can opt in depending on how old you are. There's a little chart. I think you can go online and just Google it, IMSS expat, and I believe there's I want to say the blog Mex Experience has some articles on it, and they'll give you a price list of what the prices are for a year. But it's very affordable. Now, here's the thing with IMSS. It does have limitations. You have to go to an IMSS hospital. You have to go to an IMSS doctor. It is like an HMO or a PPO. You have to go to the government doctors. Now, is the care, and I've had this discussion with people, the care, you got to remember, it's public health care. So your care, the facilities, they may be overwhelmed. You might, especially in bigger cities, sometimes they run out of medication. Now, the doctors, is it like, oh, well, the bad doctors go to the IMSS and the good? No. Actually, some doctors that have private practices, they also practice in IMSS. Actually, some of the most well-renowned surgeons actually practice in IMSS also. So it not necessarily that you're going to get a different, lower quality of healthcare. Where you're going to get a lower quality of healthcare is, number one, you have to qualify for the program. And pretty much any pre-existing condition, even cholesterol medication, high cholesterol, anything, disqualifies you. Now, if you are a Mexican worker and you paid into an IMSS, they can't disqualify you. But if you're somebody you have to pretty much be almost in perfect health. Also, if you get an operation, I need heart surgery or I need whatever it might be, what IMSS will do will say, hey, you need, there's a waiting period. So in order to get your heart surgery, you have to wait 4 months to get approved. And then you might get approved. And then when you go to the hospital, you don't get a private room. You have to share the room. And not only do you have to share the room, but then you have to have somebody to stay with you at night because they have to take care of you. They don't provide nursing services at night. So there's a lot of limitations to IMSS. And someone just made a comment here, and I'm gonna bring it up here. IMSS is restricted to no serious pre-existing medical conditions, right? And yes, it is restricted. And actually, it's more restricted, not serious medical condition. It's restricted to any medical condition pretty much is going to disqualify you. Then there's private medical insurance. The 2 videos that I've done, I'll leave a link in the live stream. Now I do ask that you have patience because when the live stream finishes, it processes, and I don't go until tomorrow till the evening to put the links in, but I will put the links in. So what you can do is watch those videos, but I have an insurance agent that explains exactly how it works. If you're under 54, I believe you don't need a physical, you just need blood work. If you're over 54, they give you a physical. If you have pre-existing conditions, they actually treat it a certain way. They can either, there's 3 ways that private insurance treats pre-existing conditions. Like, for example, I have a Mexican policy. I also use a U.S. policy, but I have a Mexican policy that if I get cancer, I cannot be covered for cancer. But they did allow me to get covered for everything else. I did have to wait a year to show them for a whole year that I was cancer-free, but they let me on. So they will actually evaluate your health situation. If you're on cholesterol medication, they might consider that a health risk, and they might say, okay, we're going to charge you an extra premium. If you've had heart surgery before, it may not disqualify. It may disqualify you from any kind of heart issues, but it won't disqualify you. I don't know if you need a kidney, if you need dialysis. What I'm trying to say is it all depends. Now, that is also based on your age. There's also a maximum age that you can apply for the insurance. And that's all explained in the videos. And there are ways of getting past that maximum age, but there's only, I think, 3 or 4 insurance companies that do that. But once you're in the system, like, for example, I have a policy, I can have it for the rest of my life. Now, the minute I get out after that certain age, I can't reapply. So that's one of the things that's very important. Uh, it goes up in price with age. It can run anywhere from, depending on what kind of plan you get, because there's plans that cover you all over Mexico. There's plans that only cover you at certain hospitals that are like like PPOs, and only certain doctors. So those plans will be a little bit less expensive. Then there's deductibles. The deductibles work different. It's not on a yearly basis. It's a per condition basis. So let's say I get a heart attack tomorrow. I go in and get heart surgery. Then they cover me for anything heart related. I don't have to meet a deductible anymore. So that's the way the insurance system works here. Now, the other option is, like I said, I carry U.S. insurance that covers me in overseas. But here's the catch. My insurance, even though it covers me overseas, I have to pay up front, and then I get reimbursed. So that's a catch to using my U.S. insurance. But I use a combination of both. I have I have U.S. insurance, because that's one of the benefits of my retirement. But I also, and I keep it because once I get off of it, I can't get back on it. So if I ever have to, for whatever reason, use my U.S. insurance, I need to keep it. But I also have Mexican insurance, and it runs me. I'm 58 years old. I don't remember what the premium is because we have it taken out of our bank account. Both my wife and I have it taken, but it's probably about five. I want to say $500 or $600. And actually, my insurance premiums, so we're going to change it to a more restricted plan because we're now here in Monterrey, and we don't need the whole Mexico plan. So it'll probably go down to, I want to say, between the both of us, $500 or $600. So probably $200 to $300 a piece, but it does go up. So by the time I'm 65 years old, it's probably going to be double that. So hope that answered your question. George, I wouldn't use IMS if my life depended on it. Private all the way. Yes, private. IMSS, really, to be honest with you, I don't suggest it. Like I said, number one, I see a lot of Americans come here with, like I said, if you're as much on cholesterol medication, you're pretty much disqualified. Some people claim, oh, yeah, but I went in there, the doctor didn't do nothing, and they just looked me over and they let me in. Yes, but you also got to understand that you're using a public hospital. I'll give you an example. My father-in-law has to go to IMSS to get his some of his medications. He has private insurance, but the private insurance doesn't cover his medications. So what happens is he goes to Social because he put money into he goes to IMSS. He has to stand in line at an IMSS facility, and it has to be a specific one that's assigned to him. And of course, he has to wait for hours on end sometimes to get seen. And then the doctor puts him on the medication or gives him his prescription. But for example, some of the most common medications, you know what? We ran out. We're out of metformin today. Sorry, we don't have any. So then he still has to go and buy his medications over at a pharmacy. And also, even though I said in IMSS, some of the best surgeons work with IMSS also, but that's also doesn't mean you're going to get the best surgeon. If you need a major operation, you might get a world-renowned surgeon here in Mexico, and you may get somebody that doesn't have that much of a qualification. The thing with private healthcare is you pick your doctor, you pick your hospital, and even with the plan, even changing your insurance plan, you're going to get to pick a doctor that's in the private healthcare system, and literally in one of the best. For example, even though I'm changing to the lower plan, the lower plan includes like one of the best hospitals here in Monterrey. I mean, we're talking about we're all in San Pedro here in Monterrey, which is the best hospital in all of Monterrey I can go to. And when I go, I get a private room. When I get operated, as a matter of fact, I just had surgery there at Elion Zamorano. I've had surgery there twice, and actually another surgical procedure, which I was in and out during the day. And I'm not kidding you. This place has a Starbucks inside, and the rooms. It's almost like being in an apartment room. It's not. It's a totally different experience when you go through private healthcare here in Mexico. And Metabamba. If someone with pre-existing medical condition works in Mexico for a while and later end employment, then can they continue IMSS? Here's the thing with IMSS, it works a lot like Social Security. You have to get, it's kind of like, I don't know how exactly it works here, but I'm going to compare it to Social Security in the United States. In order to qualify for Social Security, you have to get so many points. Okay. So it's the same thing with IMSS. You have to have been working for so many years, or you have to be working at the time. For example, what happens is you actually, when you're working here in Mexico, you have an employer. Actually, one of the things that I have a video is if you hire household help, you're technically supposed to pay into their Social Security or their IMSS. So if you're working, you get IMSS coverage because your employer pays part of this coverage, and then you may have to pay a little bit. So here's the problem. You can't just go and work for a couple of years or 1 year or 2 years and then, oh, okay, I worked in Mexico, so now I qualify for IMSS. In order to get that benefit later on, when you're not working, you have to have so many points or so much time. Nerd Uno. Actually, I'm going to bring this up here. He brings up a good point because one of the videos I got coming up, hopefully I'll work on it tomorrow, is there's a lot going on one of the highways right now, on Highway 57. I've already done one video about warning, but the situation's gotten worse. And one of these is on major roads, plenty of gasoline stations, but the remote areas can be a problem. And also, you don't want to stop, even if that in the remote areas, you don't want to stop at a gas station in the remote areas. And he said, I once traveled a remote world, but I saw people selling gasoline in cans on the side of the road. That's in really remote areas, but you have to be careful with the remote areas because you don't want to stop for gas, even if there is a gas station in a lot of the remote areas, especially on some of these highways. Jorge, IMS is like going to the DMV. Wouldn't you rather pay to have a AAA and avoid frustration? Same with IMSS. Yes, that's true. Like I said, you have to, like I told you, my father-in-law, when he goes to IMSS, it's a whole day ordeal. And that's just, it's public health care. There's no better way I can put it. It's public health care. And it doesn't work like in the United States where you have Medicare and any doctor that takes Medicare. No, it's public health care. You have to go to and actually you get assigned a facility. That's the only facility you can go. Even if there's 6 facilities for IMSS here in Monterrey, if I were on IMSS, I get assigned that particular facility, and that's the only facility I can go to. So, and there might only be one IMSS hospital here. There is, I believe, in some cities, there might be more than one IMSS hospital. Sometimes some cities don't have an IMSS hospital, and you actually have to go to another, like, for example, a lot of the outlying areas of Mexico City, you have to go to Mexico City to actually get any medical care. So one of the things that I will say about private healthcare, I gave some price comparisons to somebody today. An MRI, a CAT scan or MRI. I had CAT scan. I've had several done, many done. A CAT scan with contrast, which costs in the United States upwards of $3,000 and can cost anywhere to upwards of $5,000, depending on where you're at in the United States. Costs $270 here, $260, $270. My cancer treatment, radiation ran, well, it's probably gone up, but my cancer treatment ran $25,000 compared to probably a couple of $100,000 at MD Anderson. And they used the same radiation machine. I probably had I had some of the best oncologists that were treating me. So quality wise, I was just as good as MD Anderson. So, you know, out of pocket, yeah, $25,000 is a lot of money, but compared to $500,000, if you can afford it, that literally my last surgery, um, and this was because I used a laser equipment, ran me approximately $10,000. And that same surgery in the United States would have probably been quadruple, actually quadruple what I paid. Probably 50,000, at least maybe minimum 80,000 in the United States, and I paid 10. Now I didn't pay that totally because I'm going to get reimbursed, but that's just giving you an example of the comparisons. If you have the financial means to be able to, hey, I can pay $10,000 for a surgery or whatever, you're going to save a lot of money compared to the United States. Trust me. Um, so, and George says IMSS, and I'm going to stress this. Yes, he's right. Is playing Russian roulette with your healthcare. Just invest in better doctors in Care Mexico and don't attend public health care. If you can help it, public health care is not the way to go. I totally agree. But, and actually, the reason why I'm stressing this is that we do have a lot of expats, immigrants, whatever you want to call yourself, foreigner. We do have a lot that get onto the IMSS system, not realizing, thinking it works like Social Security or not Medicare, and it doesn't work like Medicare, and people are very disappointed. And also, depending on where you're at, for example, I've heard of places where the IMSS facilities, like for example here in Monterrey, even though it's like a cattle, how would you say, herding cattle, it's still a better system than, for example, in San Miguel. If I went to the IMSS office in San Miguel, sometimes they're out of alcohol, literally out of alcohol. They don't have medications. They don't even have alcohol to treat several certain things sometimes, not all the time. So, and but at the same time, you can say, people will tell you, just like Jose said, Jorge, not Jose, Jorge said, it's like playing Russian roulette because one day they don't have alcohol and the next day you could be seeing the best doctor in all of San Miguel. So, very true. And any more questions? I'm going to wrap it up. We went over our hour, like we always do. But as long as it's valuable information, I'm always willing to stick around for any questions that you guys might have. My sister went to Nerd Uno. My sister went to IMSS over a bad abdominal pain. They had her do surgery and only find nothing after cutting in, leaving very large scars on her stomach area. I do know people have had bad experiences, and like I said, people have had good experiences. You'll find some of the doctors in IMSS, like I said, they practice in private practice. Some of the best surgeons in all of Mexico are IMSS. And, but at the same time, not all the best surgeons are there. In other words, it's the luck of the draw. You might get the best surgeon, one of the best surgeons in all of Mexico for whatever your condition is. And you might get a surgeon that's just a normal surgeon that works for IMSS. So there's no guarantees with IMSS. So I think we'll wrap it up with that. Like I said, I'm very busy. Just be patient with me. I've been working on my house here in Monterrey. I've got that Chasing the American Dream interview coming up real soon. Joe and Brittany are a very interesting couple. And like Cindy said, don't forget to click that like button, subscribe. I'd like to remind you guys that this is a nonprofit project. I make nothing off of this. Someone even asked me, what's your future plans? Do you plan to monetize this? No. I said, the only monetization that I have is YouTube revenue. And anybody that does YouTube can tell you that my revenue doesn't even probably hit $50 if I'm lucky a month. And I have to cover the rest of the expenses. And So I cover them out of my pocket. I don't ask for, I do have a buy me a coffee page too, but I don't ask for donations. I don't ask for super thanks. I don't ask for super chats, even though there are ways to do that. I don't ask for any kind of donations. I do this totally for free. This is a public service. Like I said, I don't gain anything. Now I do gain if you subscribe and you hit those like buttons and you make those comments on my videos. It helps me. It helps me get my word out because I want this public service to get out. I want this information, this important information to get out. I want the truth to get out. Just like I told you guys earlier about the YouTubers painting these pictures that it's so easy to come in here. If it is so easy to come in here, there's a lot of things that they're not telling you, and I'm here to expose that. I'm here to tell you how it really is. And I'm not here to tell you to scare you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you get to your goal. I'm here to help you get to Mexico. I'm here to help you realize your dream of moving to Mexico. But I'm also here to help you do it the right way. And I'm here to help you give a heads up of what to expect or not to expect. So, like I said, thanks for showing up. Don't forget to subscribe. Like the videos, like this live stream. It only helps me. Like I said, doesn't help me make more money. It just helps me get the word out. That's my what I say on my videos. So help me get that word out, and thank you guys for coming. And I'm here to help. And like I said, all my services are free, and I'm totally nonprofit. My goal is to serve the public and serve you and look out for your best interest, not mine. So good luck, guys. Thank you very much. And like I always say, we'll see you soon. Or in Spanish, nos vemos pronto.